New day. If you haven't cashed out, please dial star 439 hash. You could win 1,000 Ghana cedis. And this is the time you want to win because Christmas is just around the corner. And we were saying earlier that this Christmas, we are only giving people thoughts and prayers. But if you win 1,000 Ghana cedis, perhaps you could buy something nice for your loved one this season. So cash out now, star 439 hash. Just as we are gearing up to celebrate Christmas, we know that the festive season, while it brings a lot of joy, also sometimes brings a lot of disaster. We've heard over the years about fires in the home, accidents on our roads, and even personal disasters while we take care of ourselves and the people that we love. This year, we want to ensure that we do all that we can, where possible, to prevent especially fires in the home. A few months ago, we heard about market fires, and we went to Kantamanto, we went to Agbogloshi. We saw how devastated the people were, and we've come to see and know that once fire guts your home or your place of business, returning to normalcy is very difficult, even where possible. So our next conversation, is on how to prevent fires in the home and also how to stay safe, fire safe, during the season. We're blessed to have in the studios with us from the PR team of the National Fire Service, King Nate, Alex King Nate.
I love his name.
Yeah. King. Alex
Thank
King.
you very much.
How are you?
Thank you very much. It's interesting that you just got to know my real name.
Do you want me to say the other one? so we have history. We were
the other one you mentioned when he
when he arrived. And
yeah.
he's one of the people who had those very powerful nicknames that
in school
no one knew his name. I did not know his name.
So you haven't known Alex King Nate?
No, I heard it for the first time today. Yes.
Wow.
But we will not say it on air.
But after the guy stole the artist phone, then I changed the name.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, it's great to have you in the studio.
It's a
We're very
pleasure.
happy to have you.
It's a pleasure
Now,
to be here.
earlier I was talking about the things that we do at home which could affect us. Like things that we are all guilty, a lot of us are guilty of.
Yeah.
For instance, our gas cylinders. Too many of us have huge stone, a big stone on top of the gas cylinder. And I know a friend who said that his cylinder was too old, and so he was going to spray it so it will look new.
No.
And I asked, you're going to spray it? He said, yes. But if it's old, why don't you change it or take it for refurbishment? But you are spraying it so it looks old. How does that solve the problem of how old the cylinder is?
It's just like doing makeup, and after the makeup, when you wash your face, you see your real face.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't solve the issue. It's just beautifying the cylinder, but not solving the issue of leakages. So it's just like a woman doing the makeup, and when she washes the makeup off, you see
From where
the
you
face
sit at the
reality.
fire service, what are some of the known causes that have come to your attention of fires at home?
Okay, so most of the fires that we record have to do with unattended cooking. People tend to cook and then they forget that they are cooking. Some might even just go do something, get carried away, and then forget that they are cooking. Also, the fact that people leave their gas cylinders inside the kitchen instead of placing them outside the kitchen. Because then, when there is a leakage in the gas cylinder, there's one reason that people do not know, that if there's a leakage in your gas cylinder and the gas has taken over the kitchen, if you put on your light in the kitchen, it can start fire. Because then the light presents a source of heat where there's so much fuel, that's the gas already in the atmosphere. So then the gas leaking is one of the things that people always do. Sometimes when people fill their gas, instead of allowing the gas to settle, they just come, and then because they're probably very hungry, they just quickly connect the head.
So when you
to
fill
it.
the gas and you come home, you mustn't connect it immediately.
Exactly, you have to wait for about 30 minutes. If you can, 1 hour, so at least the gas settles. Because the gas expands. Because once you fill the gas and it's been in the car and the car is wobbling, it's expanding.
Then it means that we've been practicing so many things that are totally wrong.
Exactly.
I mean, so talking about gas, even in purchasing it, most of us will not even put the cylinders in vehicles to go and buy it. We carry it on our head, and it's shaking all the way through from the gas station to the house. Is that good practice?
Very negative practice. So when you do it, you can still do it, but then at least allow the gas to settle. You see, and when you're filling the gas, people always have this perception, even with fuel filling stations, that when you fill your tank to the brim, yes, but that's not the best, because then it expands. So if you don't leave room for expansion or for it to breathe, then it's just like a human eating and you have to belch. it needs an outlet to come out. So once it's totally full and there's no room for expansion, it's susceptible to an explosion.
So you said a few things. So you've said a few problems. Let's talk about the solutions to the problems you've said, and then we'll talk about some more problems.
Okay.
So if you enter your kitchen and you smell gas, you should not turn on your light. What should you do?
So quickly try and get to the cylinder, put it off, and disconnect the head.
So even though it's leaking, you should go to it.
Yes.
Isn't that
Disconnect
dangerous?
it.
No, you see, once it's leaking,
Because you want to
you
get
see, because
away
then
from
there's no source of heat at that moment.
Okay.
There's no source of heat at that moment. One, you could call on the Ghana National Fire Service to come in. But then again, due to the lack of stations in the area, because at that moment, you're not exposed to any source of heat at that time, you can just go there, put it off, or then you get a wet blanket or a wet sack, the cocoa sack. Yes, and then go put it on the cylinder.
First make
so
it
it
wet.
cools it. Yes.
Okay.
So to cool it, then you can put it off and then disengage the head from the cylinder.
What if the cylinder is outside and it's already exposed to sunlight? That's the source of heat, isn't it?
That's a source of heat. But then because it's outside and there's air, like there's so much air outside, then the threat dissipates into the air. So then it doesn't pose so much risk as compared to inside when it's confined within an environment.
What about those who roll their cylinder on the floor? I see people do that a lot. They roll it when they are taking it out. So instead of carrying it, they will roll it.
They roll it. That's also, so maybe at that time it's empty, but then you still do not give room for error, because then you see, you have no idea what can probably prick off the cylinder to cause leakage within, to cause a leakage within the cylinder. So I think it's better to just carry and be safe than to roll and die.
Okay. Now, I know some people who have not changed their cylinder in their lives. Ever.
What's the lifespan of a cylinder?
At least every cylinder comes with its own lifespan, and if you buy a new cylinder, there's
what is a new cylinder?
Okay, so a new cylinder is a cylinder bought from the manufacturer or bought from the factory.
Not the ones that they sell at the gas station.
Yes, not the one, because then the ones that they sell at the gas station, you are not too sure. Even with that one, let me quickly come to the washer. You realize that when you go to the gas filling station and you need to fill your gas, they will tell you, oh, rubber now, no.
They be almost the same.
Yes.
Every day be almost the same.
Almost the same.
2 CDs.
So
say 5 CDs. Every day almost the same.
It's important to change it.
And they be when you get to the house, the gas cylinder will still be leaking every single day.
So that is why, if possible, ask them to give it to you for you to check to see if it looks new. Because then, when you are there, then they take it off and it falls down. No, because you see, it's better for them to feel offended than you dying.
They don't even relate to you nicely for you to be able to ask for you to see.
No, because at the end of the day, you come home and be faced with the risk. Okay. Because you see, when you go there and they tell you that you have to change it and they take it off, it falls on the ground. Do you know where it goes to?
They pick it again to give to the next customer.
So you have to check and see if it's new.
Okay. Okay.
And you have to buy your cylinder from,
if you can, from a factory.
Yes, from the certified manufacturers. Yeah.
Honestly, I only know one cylinder brand, but apparently there are brands. And just like all brands, there are superior brands and there are inferior brands. How can you tell if a brand is good? I know when you buy a cylinder, there are some things written on it. Okay, so like the cylinder on the screen now, there are some things written on it. I've recently discovered that there's a date of manufacturing and then the date of expiry. But some people use their cylinders for a whole lifetime.
Ideally,
for as long as they have had a kitchen. That cylinder, some of the cylinders are currently brown, but when they were bought, they were gray, right? But then the cylinder will be really rusted, and
we're still using it.
So when you buy a cylinder, you need to check.
Exactly, you need
from
to check
the inside.
From the inside whether there's an expiry date. But ideally, by 5 years' time, you need to change your cylinder.
5 years.
Yes, by 5 years.
I've recently learned also that there are some companies doing cylinder refurbishment. So there's one of the popular cylinder brands we see on the market is, I think it's called Sigma.
Okay.
They've recently, I don't know if you know about that.
Not that I'm aware of, but then it's something that we frown upon.
Refurbishment.
Yes, because then somewhere last year, our task force clamped down on some operation like that at Swan Lake,
Okay.
North
Not industrial
Kaneshi.
area.
Yes, where
Okay.
people had brought in their old cylinders and the people were spraying them and recycling them.
No, I'm not talking
We
about.
clamped down the-
I'm not talking about a cylinder beautification. I'm talking about refurbishment. So I witnessed a process. It's about a 9-step process. So at first they put water in the cylinder, like a lot of pressure. It's like the pressure is high to see if it comes out of any corner, to see if there's a leakage. And then after that, the base of the cylinder, they remove it and they re-weld it. And then it's a whole, then they do an air pressure thing. Just
to make sure there's no leakage anywhere.
So I want to ask you from where you sit, that if I think my cylinder is faulty, should I refurbish it or should I buy a new one?
Change it. Because it's just like doing an overhauling in a vehicle.
Okay.
It can probably work for you temporarily for maybe a few months, but then it will pose a risk. And I feel like, you see, at the end of the day, our lives are much more expensive and important than a cylinder. You know, that's how come people often put their cylinders out in their rooms because they're scared of the thieves. But then once you have life, the accounts will say,
can always buy
exactly.
OAD.
So why don't you rather go in for the new one that you are very sure that no other, as compared to the one that's been refurbished, and then the next day you are not too sure, because obviously because they are filming it, they'll show you some very nice video of the process being done. But then what if you are not there? What if there's no camera there filming the process? How then do they really go about refurbishing it well?
So it's safer to buy a new one.
It's safer to buy a new one.
Well, I remember the last time you were here, you brought us some education. And I remember clearly you telling us that most of the fires in this country, 75% of them are caused by smoking.
Okay. No, so I said most of the fires that we record are domestic fires.
Okay.
And that cooking and electrical faults are most of the prevalent causes of fires that we experience a lot. Just as
But
now,
you mentioned something about smoking as well.
Okay, so
I'm saying that because the festive season is here,
Yes.
people are going to be excited.
Exactly.
People will indulge in all sorts.
Okay.
What are we to look for in terms of smoking?
Okay, so obviously during the festive season, people have friends coming over, and then some might be smokers, some might be non-smokers, and so once some come and then they are smoking, the way they dispose of the cigarette butts is a problem, because then they might not be mindful of where they will dispose it of. Just straight off, it might end up falling on a combustible material. We are also aware that during the Christmas season, people often go out to shows, concerts, and they are not home. So once we have what we call smoldering. So once the fire, the butt falls on a combustible material, within
What
time,
is a combustible material?
any material that can burn.
Okay.
This is a combustible material. Any plastic, any wood, any material that's susceptible to burning is a combustible material.
Okay.
So smoldering is when a fire gradually burns, when it starts slowly and then develops into a full flame. So then if you don't dispose of your cigarette butt appropriately and it falls on any combustible material, obviously you are probably asleep or you've gone out to a concert. So the fire will take its time to fully develop, and probably when you are out, it blows out into a full-fledged fire, which would get out of hand to control.
The lights go off very often these days, and some people resort to using candles as a source of light. Do you have any advice for us on how to safely use our candles at home?
Okay, so candles, if you must use them, one, get, I don't know how do you call it, that porcelain bowl.
Ceramic.
Yeah, the ceramic bowl.
Okay.
Yes, fill it with water. And then you light the candle and put it in the ceramic bowl filled with water. And then keep it away from kids, and keep it away from curtains. Because then when you do not put it in a ceramic bowl with water and you probably place it somewhere and someone mistakenly hits the candle, it will probably fall on a curtain or fall on your carpet. Secondly, also, when the candle is exhausted and you don't place them in water or the ceramic bowl, and it's probably on a cushion or something.
Some people put it on their books.
That's very risky.
Yeah.
That's very risky. It will blow up. But once,
Because maybe it has a hard cover or something.
but that's where the smoldering comes in. So then this gets exhausted, and then it's settling on the book gradually, gently, and before you realize, it gets out of hand and spreads.
So this is how it's supposed to look like.
Exactly.
It will soon be on your screen.
Yes. So once it's like this,
yeah.
if the flame is exhausted, the water automatically quenches
consumes the fire.
and then you're safe.
So this is how to safely use your candle, if you have to use it, because that was his response. He says if you must. So
especially
it is not
if you fall asleep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's not your first choice.
And you can't monitor it.
Yeah.
It's not.
Your
Yes, it's not
first
something
choice.
I would recommend.
You
But
don't
then,
recommend
if
it.
you have to, because then we are aware that not everyone is on the same level of.
The candle will not suspend. Coco, our producer, our director is asking, but here's the thing. So this is what I know. I first put the candle in the bowl, and when it sticks, before I
pour
put the water.
Yes.
So that at least you
That's
know
the
that
only
it's
way
stuck.
it will stay.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
so
the way
it
it
sticks,
will stay.
Yeah.
And what about children? Because children find candles very fascinating.
So then, if you can, place them at high vantage points, so that kids cannot easily get access to them. Okay, so once you're able to place them out of the reach of children, and then you place them in a bowl, it could be a glass bowl like this or a ceramic bowl, then you're safe.
Yeah. I asked because I like scented candles, and every time I turn them on, my kids get excited, and they want to see if something can burn.
They just get very
So they start
fascinated.
looking for tissue and things to put on it.
So that's why.
So now I no longer use them anymore. So it's important what you said. If you have children in the house, you must put it on like a high,
so they
on
are,
top of something
so
that
they are not
reach.
reachable from there.
And you see, people also use candles for decorations during Christmas.
Yeah.
So then again, if you can, also realize that during Christmas, people like to use a lot of decorative lights. Some of these decorative lights are meant for outdoor, but then people tend to use
They
them
put it
indoor.
on the Christmas tree inside the room. I know.
So once they heat, and then the Christmas tree, they are not really trees, they are these
plastic.
plastics. So once they heat up, they tend to again smolder with the Christmas tree gradually. And when you are sleeping, that's why there's a need for smoke detectors or smoke alarms. These smoke detectors
Most of us don't have it in
Uncle.
our homes.
unfortunately.
Most of
Smoke
us don't.
detector.
Exactly.
Even places of business don't have it.
Most of us don't have it in
Don't
our
have
homes.
So those are some of the problems we face.
How about electrical appliances? Is it enough to just turn it off on the wall, or you have to just take it out? What's the best?
If you can take it out, that's the best. If you can take it out, because you see, there might be some illegal connection somewhere, and though you've probably turned it off, there might be some currents running through if there's some illegal connection somewhere. So once you put it
You never
out,
know.
But
you
if
never
there's
know.
no illegal connection, that should be safe. The plug still being in the wall should be safe.
It can be safe. It can be safe, but then
if
if you
you're
want to
not
be
sure of your
extra safe,
installation,
then you can just put it out.
And what about mosquito coils that we use at home? We know that people will often put it on the metal stand and put it on the floor.
under the table sometimes.
Yeah. Is that safe?
That's not safe. So then you see, because under the table, there are ways that fires could happen, either by conduction or by radiation.
Explain.
So conduction is when you realize that you've probably put it, let's say this table is wooden, and then the coil is under. So the smoke gradually bends under, so it's conducting with the wood, and then because of the heat, it can
But
start
the
a
mosquito
fire.
coil is so small.
It's so small, but the smoke that comes out of it.
Eh.
And you realize that it's a big coil, so it
will
burns
take
with time. Yes. So once it's like continuous supply of smoke being fed to the wood, which can then cause fire.
Interesting. So even a mosquito coil can cause a fire at home.
Exactly.
All right. So let's say worst case scenario, the fire happens. You get home and there's fire. What do you do?
Okay. So if there's fire, we always say that use the fire extinguisher at the incipient stage. The key word here is the incipient stage.
What does that
incipient
mean?
means that when the fire has started just small,
Okay.
when you've seen it, then you apply a fire extinguisher.
So first, we have to have fire extinguishers.
Exactly.
Every
You see,
home.
Every home
Okay.
needs a fire extinguisher, because you see that's where then the misconception. Cookie was reminding me of something. That's when the misconception of we coming to fire scene without water is so funny, because then we don't quench every fire with water.
With water.
You see, let me draw your mind to this. When you're frying your cocoa at home, you have your hot oil, and you're trying to you probably dip the cocoa in water the salty water and
Before you
putting
put
it
in
in
the
the
oil.
oil. You realize the kind of the that comes
Yeah.
out.
Yes.
So imagine if there's a small one, when people put it in the saran that way. So imagine this small oil and the kind of effect it's given.
Yeah.
So imagine if it's a fire where probably the fire started has to do with a lot of oils, where you probably keep your oils. Once you pour water on it, you're making it worse.
Wow. So you don't have to pour
It's
water
not
on
every
all
fire.
fires.
Exactly.
That's quenched with water.
Water.
So if it's fire caused by oil, what's the best way to put it out?
So you use an extinguisher, either the foam or either the dry chemical powder or the CO2 chemical
A lot of
powder.
homes
Don't
don't have
have it,
fire
yes.
extinguishers.
So what do they do?
So if water is
So-
a bad idea, what do they
So
do?
once you don't have it, you can get either a wet blanket also helping out. But the best thing is that if you can, please go out, close your windows, call on the Ghana National Fire Service.
Close the windows.
Close the windows.
Yes, because
Why?
if fire needs a lot of air to
To
develop.
escalate.
Okay, so if you can, you close the windows and then, but if the fire is already caught up with the whole room and you need to get out, you don't run out, you crawl out.
Why?
Because you see, the smoke, most of the time, smoke
It
kills
follows you.
people even before the fire kills you. The smoke will end up blocking your airwaves that you might not be able to breathe. So once the smoke also goes up, it doesn't stay down.
Okay.
So once you are down,
There's
you
air.
there's no air, but at least you are relieved from the smoke that's building up at the top. So then you crawl using your elbow to drag yourself out to safety, because once the smoke has taken over, you don't even get visibility, and it will start choking you. You'll be coughing, and you might not be able to get to the exit. But once you're out there, you might face some heat, but at least you are safe from the smoke.
Speaking of safety, a lot of our homes have burglar-proof windows which trap us in when there's a fire. So I remember having this conversation once with my husband a long time ago, that is it a good idea to put these burglar-proof windows? Because you can't come out. So what if there's say a regular home will have a kitchen door exit and then a front door exit. More modern homes will have a living room exit as well and stuff like that. But a lot of our homes, we are trapped inside because the burglar proofs keep burglars from coming in, but they also keep you
From
going out
Because-
if there's fire at the door.
Yes,
and you
last
can't
year
go
there was
to
such
it.
an incident at Kaswa, the Liberian camp. Unfortunately, a family lost their lives because of this
Burglar
same
proof.
burglar proof
They couldn't
issue.
come out.
They couldn't come out. There are different types. There are collapsible burglar proofs that they've done this time around.
The new ones.
The
yeah,
new
you
ones,
can
they are collapsible. You
open
can open
and
them
close
up.
Yes.
So if you can, get the collapsible burglar proofs. Also, people see the Chinese door as fashionable and then as very safe. But some of these doors, if they don't pass
catch
through
it.
they catch it and they expand.
Yeah, they catch you.
So once they expand, you can't open them.
You're stuck.
You're stuck. So then, if you have to buy the Chinese doors, please make sure that you are buying one that is approved or that is standardized, so that you know that even despite withstanding any kind of fire, it can open and you can go out to safety. So you see, people always place more premiums on the thieves than the fire.
Yeah.
You know, people are
I've
most
always been concerned about it because even, forget burglar proofs, even regular homes that have normal net and louver blades, you can't go out. There's no way out. But when you go elsewhere, you know, a lot of the doors, so the living room doors, you can just slide. There's a big window, like, I know, Cookie, you know, like in the States.
Exactly.
There's
Yes.
a
You
big
can come
window, you
out,
can
yeah.
come out from the balcony. You can even open the window and come. They don't have burglar proof.
But is there any signs that makes it difficult for doors to open in the case of fire?
So then,
There must be something, because it doesn't make sense. On a regular day, sometimes it's difficult, but it can open. But as soon as there's fire, exiting is an issue. What happens to the doors? Is there any scientific explanation to it?
So then they expand. As I said, once they are subject to heat, they expand.
Yeah.
So you realize that they are fitted for, they are fitted appropriately. So you can take it out, open and close. But once they expand, then the little chance that's
There's
left
the
is
small
That's
space
what
left.
happens.
But
know,
this is for Chinese doors, right?
yes, the Chinese doors.
What about Ghana wooden doors made by carpenters? Do they
the
also
wooden doors
expand?
do not really expand. They just get bent.
Okay.
You know, they just get bent. And depending on the quality of wood, it will probably take a long time for it to get bent. So, you know, if you can, and if you have to buy the Chinese doors, as I said, just make sure that you are getting the quality one. So that
How can I tell if it's quality?
I think you can probably look out for its. You can ask for its authentic. You can Google its authentication, its specification. You can go on YouTube, watch some videos about it. You can probably type get the name of the brand and then cross-check just to be sure of what you're buying.
Okay.
Anyway,
All right.
we also want you to be a part of the conversation this morning. We are going to activate the phone lines. The fire officer is here. If you've got any questions, any experiences to share, whatever it is that you want to talk about this morning, you are very welcome to call us from this moment. The numbers will be on your screens in a little bit. But officer, as we continue, let me just ask, as a fire department, how ready are you for the festive season?
Okay, so as a fire department, we are very much challenged. I need to state on the fact that we are very, very much challenged.
How is that?
In terms of logistics. We are under-resourced.
We don't have enough tenders?
We don't have enough tenders. You know, we are under-resourced.
How many tenders do we have in Ghana at the moment?
We are supposed to, you see, I'm not able to give an accurate figure because appliances keep getting fixed and getting broken down at any point in time. Okay. So it's difficult to give a particular figure as of now, but I can mention some of the stations whose appliances are broken down, which is causing a very big problem. Medina, their appliance is broken down.
No way.
Adenta. So there's no fire tender at Medina, Adenta, Ashaman.
Nothing.
There's no fire tender at Amasaman. There's no fire tender at Ministries. There's no fire tender at STC. And this just within Accra.
You are mentioning Accra.
There's no fire tender there as of now.
How about Tema?
Why is there no fire tender?
So you see, the fire tenders are supposed to be
and by the fire tender is your car, the vehicle?
Yes, that's the appliance.
The car that you bring.
Yeah.
To fires.
All right.
Okay, so the fire tenders are what we use to fight the fires.
Fire.
And these fire tenders are custom made. They are not on the market where you can easily go and purchase them.
Like a Toyota Corolla.
Like a Toyota Corolla where you can just purchase them. So because of that, their parts are not out there on the market. So ideally, by internationally, 5 years, we're supposed to change our fire tenders.
Every 5 years,
every 5 years. But we know that in Ghana, situations are some way. So we've given it 10 years. We are heading to 15 years, and still, we know government is making arrangements. But
you must change the car every 5 years.
Yes,
I'm sure we've had it for God knows how long.
You have decided because of constraints to use it for 10 years.
At least 10 years.
But in fact, you've used it for
15 years.
Almost 15 years.
Wow.
And they have not been changed.
Exactly.
Okay, well, we have our first call on the line. Let's talk to them and we'll come back to the studios. Hello?
Hello.
Nana, you're welcome to the show.
I'm Manuela. I'm calling from Joey.
Hi, Manuela. You're welcome to the show. Do you have a question for the fire officer? Do you have a question for the fire officer? Can you please turn down the volume on your television set? We're getting some feedback in the studio.
Okay, so I wanted to know, actually, I want to join the fire service, but I want to know how I can join. Is there anything?
Oh, okay. That's not the discussion we're having this morning, but we're glad you called. He would let us know by the end of the show how you can contact them. But for now, we need to talk to those of you who have questions about staying safe, fire safe during the festive seasons. The season is approaching, and we know that we record a lot of home fires during this period. The officer has told us that it's usually caused by cooking-related, if you like, negligence at home. So if you have any questions about how to stay safe during this period, especially if you have questions about your gas cylinder, which you have not changed for so long, you can call the officer and he'll let us know what to do. I've seen people listening to the gas cylinder. I'm not sure what they're listening to.
I know.
Listening for a leak. I don't know. Is that the right thing to do?
Okay, so what you can do is, one way to check, especially with the tube of the gas cylinder, to be sure if there's leakages, that you connect your tube to the gas cylinder, but disconnect it from the stove, cover the mouth, and then open it. Then run the tube through soapy water. So look out for bubbles. If you see bubbles, then
it means that it's faulty.
leakage.
So if you listen to it, you know some people they put their ear to the.
He's telling us that that's a wrong way to do
That's
it.
the
very
wrong thing to do.
Or you can equally
We've got. I'm
Alright,
sorry.
alright,
I'm
sure,
sorry.
no
Let me
problem.
pick this call and then we'll come back to you. Collins, you're on the phone right now. Where are you calling us from, Collins? Hello. Good morning, Collins. Okay. Unfortunately, we lost him. Yes.
All right.
You were telling us the right thing to
So
do.
you can still again pour soapy water at the head of the cylinder and look out for bubbles once you open it, just to be sure if there's
Soapy water. Okay.
But then again, back to our preparedness towards the Christmas.
Right.
Despite these challenges, we are doing our best to have the fixable ones, because you see, mind you, these appliances are custom made, so their parts are not out there. So the Ghana National Fire Service Administration has spent so much in trying to fix, which is not the way forward. But then we are constrained. We have no other choice.
You don't have the budget or what? No, we have a caller on the phone.
Let's talk to Prosper before we come back to Alex. Good morning, Prosper. Where are you calling us from?
Yeah, good morning. I'm Prosper, calling from Sekwa.
From where?
Sekwa.
Okay, let's hear you this morning.
Yeah, please, I want to make some correction about my boss's title. It's AGO1. It's not GO1.
Which
boss, please?
You.
You.
But neither of us have
We
said
didn't
it's
say anything.
ADO1.
We didn't say
That's what
anything. Or maybe it was the super that was on the TV.
on the
All
screen,
right.
okay.
Thank you so much for your correction. Thank you so much. But you want to add anything, or that's the only reason you called us? I'm sure.
I guess that's.
I'm sure he's gone off. But thank you so much for the correction. We appreciate.
We appreciate ranks and we respect ranks.
Yes,
so if we got it wrong on the screen,
please forgive
us. We
us.
apologize for that.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So you were telling us about your preparedness.
Okay, so we are doing our best, despite these challenges, to fix the fixable ones. We've had situations where a few donations have been made. I've just been informed that We Power donated about 2 fire tenders, but then at least that's for their area. You see, and there a place like East Legon, Ajengano, Santo, these are all developing communities. We don't have a single fire station there.
No station. All right,
station.
let's talk to Power, and then we'll come back to you. Hello?
Hello.
Hi, you're welcome to
morning.
the show. Good morning. Thank you for calling.
Yo,
Do you have a question?
Let me catch you.
Me pacho yo, mawanonko.
Yo, me say, mita, na anajo, exacto baba. Me say mita ne ebende. Anajo ni sorry, mita na asaja.
Okay.
Mita ne no say edintia na edene.
All
Okay.
right.
Officer Natebe answer why?
So she's asking about her meter. She says that sometimes, or if in the middle of the night, her meter, there's the electricity
It's in
meter catches
flames.
fire.
Yeah.
What should she do?
Okay, so I answer in Chio.
Yes, I think
Yeah,
she
but
can
you have
answer
a
in
key.
Twi.
Okay, inti se ohun se umita eja atum sa na odi nsi ogusu de obeku hu eku obi a oben obi a very dangerous. Inti minim se meter bia no e obi be a friend breaker. And a main power switch ultimately so and ultimately doom o
Meter
no. Inti no first thing is nka ubedum we no na say illegal connection bi any bia now you sure say no one main power switch a unye dum meter unye dum power switch na bibia ko offer. No. Yeah, most of the time, no electricians no edit bo meter no in chain.
Okay.
The red one.
Yes, the red one.
But here's a case where the meter is in
on
flames. So how does she get there?
That's why I said ebu ono more. You realize it's not on the some of them are not on the meter, but next to the meter or close to the meter.
So wait, a lot of them are very close to the meter.
By the meter.
So what do you do?
Okay, so we attend a lot of fires like that. So ideally, if you can, call on the Ghana National Fire Service. When you call on us, we'll call on ECG to cut power supply to the area.
But
then we apply water. You see, that's why extinguisher is the best.
Well, let me ask you this. Can you use maybe the broom that we use to sweep outside, the stick? Can you use it to turn it off?
If where it says you
It's
can use it,
reachable.
yes. And if it's a wooden broom, yes, then you can probably use it to turn it off.
Okay.
If it's a wooden one, but if it's a metallic one, please don't.
Officer
no
Nati,
metal.
then it goes to say that we actually all need... Okay, I'll hold on to my question. There's a caller. Good morning. Your name and where you're calling us from, please.
Good morning.
Good morning. Your name and where you're calling us from?
I'm calling from Madina.
Okay, go ahead. Is it a question or a contribution?
Thank you, Officer Kimati. The question I want to ask the officer to identify some of combustible materials that we have in our home and also factors that aid in combustion, and also fuel. I mean, fuel.
I got the first question, but not the second and third. Please stay on. What you're saying is quite nebulous. I didn't get it. But the first part of the question is, he should cite examples of combustible materials in our homes, correct? And we are getting the feedback.
It's gone off.
Yeah, we're getting feedback. But I think I got the first question, not the second or third.
I think
Did you get the second or
about
third?
fuel in the home.
In the home.
So maybe if you have a gen set, you keep fuel at home.
At home.
How do you keep it safe?
So you see, we had. I think we responded to a fire like that at around the fan call. It was suspected to be arson where, because they have a generator there, the child, I don't know for what reason, decided to pour petrol in the house and it started fires. So ideally, if you can, don't store petroleum. You can always go and then buy fuel and put it in a generator whenever there's lights out. But do not keep petroleum, because you see, the petroleum products are stored in these containers.
Plastic.
In these plastic containers. For all you know, probably they've kept it in a kitchen storeroom. And this kitchen has a gas cylinder that's also leaking. And as I said, when you put on your light during a gas leakage, it can cause an explosion of fire. So imagine that there's a proportionate amount of gas in the atmosphere, and then coupled with the gas, fuel that is stored in the kitchen. It means that you are calling a disaster for yourself.
Now, Cookie was asking you earlier about electrical appliances. I don't know if we still use those stick heaters. Now the cup heaters are more
in vogue.
popular. But do people still use the stick heaters?
People still, it's been a while I personally saw some. But then even with this this other one, the cup one, it still also poses a risk.
How?
Because then it's a machine. It can malfunction at any time. Most of them are meant to go off immediately the water gets hot. At any point, it might malfunction and it might not go off. So ideally, if you have to use it, if you can, stand beside it.
And people also cook and they forget they're cooking.
That's one problem that we also face. And
you record a lot of that?
It's very much, and especially those who stay in wooden structures. We always say that they will keep their gas cylinders inside their inside their wooden structures, be cooking, and we've gone to a lot of fires where some of them say that they went out and then cooking and they've left it there.
But those ones don't usually happen in the homes. It's in the marketplaces.
No, at home
it happens.
Yes. People they'll start cooking. That's why you need the smoke detector, as I said. So that when the smoke gets out of hand,
smoke detector,
I think this is what we should do. Most of us do not and cannot have smoke detectors in our homes because the homes have been constructed already. But it goes to say,
smoke detectors, so then let me correct that.
Misconception.
It's a misconception because you even place it after it's even been constructed. So it's a fixable thing.
No, you didn't get me.
Okay.
I'm rented, I know.
No, but the smoke detectors, like right now we have modern ones where you don't even have to screw them. You just, it has this space.
Where do they sell them?
When you go to any fire,
I can buy and just install on the ceiling and that's it.
Must you put it in every room or what?
So if you have a fire officer advising, yes, if ideal, you can put it in any room so that if there's any smoke anywhere, it sounds an alarm. Because at dawn, we record a lot of fires. At dawn. A lot of fires. Because you're sleeping. So when it starts so small, you might not see it. So by the time you realize, it would have really had a lot of effects before it will come to your attention.
But let's talk about your own civic education. You are on the PR team at the National Fire Service.
Yes.
I have never heard of a smoke detector in this country. This is the first time I'm hearing about
that you
can
just even walk and go and get it and install it in your house.
What sort of education, or I mean, what are you on educational drives like what this one?
We do education.
So people would know these things.
You see, I always say that it's so unfortunate that as of now, I'm sure someone will tune in their TV, see a fire officer and be like, and change the channel.
Why?
Because they always feel like fires, they are so far away from fires. That's the perception people have. So they don't tend to keep our numbers at hand. They don't tend to keep the fire numbers.
There was a time when we felt the same way about the Ghana police. But now everybody knows the short code to call Ghana police. Because they went on a very intense campaign. And aside television, they employed jingles on radio and social media to make it popular. Don't you think that it's time that the National Fire Service did the same? And do you have the resources and the budget to be able to do that?
Resources, budget, I would say we are handicapped. I have to be honest. I would say that the kind of infrastructural and logistical investments that our other sister services receive is not at par with what the Ghana National Fire Service receives. I think it's, again, attitudinal problem, or as a people, we put much more premium on our security, much more than on our safety.
On our safety.
So it's an attitudinal problem. So until us Ghanaians seem to take, because you realize that every new community springing up, people will be like, hey, in here police station. But at the same time, they should cry that it just so high in here fire stations.
Before you go, tell us where you said we can get fire detectors and then also
the
fire extinguishers.
Okay, so if you walk to any safety department or any fire station and you ask for the safety department, and
when you say fire station, you mean the fire service?
Yes, we have stations sprinkled out, sprinkled all around. Okay. And so despite the fact that some of them's appliances are out of commission, the systems are still working, that you can walk into the safety office and they can help you get an extinguisher.
How much are these though?
It depends, but
I think
affordable? They're affordable. They're affordable because then again, you can't place premium on your life.
Okay. I wanted you to teach us how to use it because some people also don't know how to use it. They take it and they want to throw it at the fire.
So there are many types of fire extinguishers.
I know we're almost out of time, so you show us quickly. Okay.
So there are many types of fire extinguishers.
Okay.
We have the dry chemical powder. We have the carbon dioxide. And you can identify them by their nozzles. The powder, you'd identify them by this. They have this tube. That's how you know it's a dry chemical powder. Okay. And then the CO2, you identify them with this, the opening.
Okay.
So then both of them can be used for both electrical and then gaseous fires. So the first thing you do is that you realize that there's a safety seal here. So first, we have an acronym, PASS, P-A-S-S, pull, aim, squeeze, and spray. So you first break the seal off. And once you break the seal off, then you take out a seal.
Okay.
Break so that's the pull.
And take it out.
So you've pulled it out.
Okay.
So then you aim. So the fires, if there's a fire, you don't spray the fire, you don't spray the extinguisher at the top of the fire. You spray it at the base.
Okay.
Very good. You remember the last time? Yes.
The
source, or where the fire is down there. So you aim at it and then you squeeze and then you spray.
What are you squeezing?
You squeeze the nozzle.
Okay.
Here and then.
Yehovah!
So you see, so I want you to.
Why are you running? Dude, why are you running? He took you by surprise.
Oh my goodness.
He took you by surprise.
The same way the fire will take you by surprise.
Yeah. What was that?
So you can have a go
let
at
me
it.
try.
Yeah.
So
you must have some good confidence to be able to do it. Don't point it here now.
Okay. So
how about that way? How about that other way?
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've pulled.
So now you're just supposed to squeeze and spray.
So first you take this out.
Yes. So you pull it out.
And then you pull it out.
And then you point
at
the base of the fire.
Yes.
Then squeeze. Then you spray it. No, so you're not done. So you spray it. No, because I think the nozzle there is weak. That's why it's coming out. But ideally, it should just come out through the black outlet. So when you squeeze it,
first of all, you need to tell us that you need to know that it will make a loud sound that can startle you. So when this happens, you don't feel like the fire is coming to get you.
Yeah.
Because even though there's no fire here, it startled me.
You must have some confidence.
You must have some confidence.
Yeah.
You must add C to the past.
Yes.
have confidence.
Confidence first.
Yeah.
Confidence before you pull it, right?
Exactly, because it requires some vim.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you scare yourself.
You know, the reason I didn't use this is that
it's louder.
The powder would leave residues. This doesn't leave residues. It dissipates
Fire is
into
not
the air.
a joke.
It's
Fire
not.
is not a
Putting
joke.
it out is not
You
even a joke.
and let me use this opportunity to congratulate and to say you go to every firefighter out there.
Yeah.
The kind of risk our firefighters go through,
Wow.
despite the little motivation. And you go and then people are shooting at them. Oh, you do me January, It is pathetic.
Yeah, 'cause you're
Please see a
putting a lot of
firefighter and say thank you to them. Because when there's explosion, we go into fires blind. If you have cylinders in there, we don't know. Our men enter and then boom, 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 there's explosion. You, the owner who's caused the fire, you're running away and you're insulting the fire. Hey, your friend, one band, hooting at them. But they are coming in not knowing the kind of hazards they are coming to face.
Are you well paid at the fire service?
That's a conversation.
Well paid is relative. I would say no one in Ghana will say they're well paid. So I wish you could get much more, because the kind of risk our men put themselves in cannot be quantified.
Do you have free medical care?
Unfortunately, no.
You don't have free medical
Yes. So I would say
care. So when you
every
enter a
firefighter,
fire and you are injured, you pay for your own medical
you
expenses?
pay, and then you send a receipt for refund.
Okay.
But then
And
the
you
situation
get
where you
the
don't have,
refund.
yes, you get it. You know, it takes a while, but you get it.
So if you don't have the money to immediately
That's
pay?
where the problem is. So a lot of firefighters are dying. There are men who've been bent and children who tie them and call them Robocop. Because they've been bent and you can see their skull. So I would say, please appreciate a fireman. We put our lives on the risk. We put our, see, and a fire station can go to fires about 3 or 4 times in a day. Especially now that the whole of
tenders
Asham,
are not many.
yes, we'll have to. There was fire at Omanjo, so too, and we had to call on our plans from headquarters, all the way from
Accra.
all the way from Dankwa Circle to Soto Omanjo. It is very bad.
have
And
a
when
long
our
way
men
to
get
go.
there, instead of hooting at them, please say thank you for coming.
Okay.
Thank you, Alex Kignate, for bringing us all of this education. I wish we could have more time, but unfortunately, that's all time will allow us.